Okay, can you imagine being in a very dark room? There is no windows or a door. You're just trapped. Trapped between four heavy walls weighing down upon you. The feelings of hopelessness is starting to overwhelm you. Let's say you've been there for weeks, months, maybe even a year. There is no way out, you're stuck there. Now that you see you in this position and you have to live with that, you starting to feel a sense like, okay, well, I'm stuck here and this is something I'm gonna have to deal with for the rest of my life. Now let me tell you something. What you just imagined is what I consider to be depression. I would like to address the problem, depression, that many people in the United States of America is facing. The things I will address about depression is its background, the different types of depression, its effects, the cause of depression, the overlooked symptoms, and finally, treatment and how to prevent depression. According to the National Institute of Mental Health, depression, major depressive disorder, clinical depression is a very common but serious mood disorder. Depression affects the way we feel, think, and handle daily activities such as sleeping, eating, and working. However, depression affects many people differently, some for a long period of time and some for a short period of time. To show you, like, basically what I mean, I'm gonna tell you a little bit of a story, and it's by myself. Growing up, I kind of suffered from depression, and like people have this misconception that it's just like feeling sadness or hopelessness, but it really affects us in a certain way that it can really take a toll on your life till you just pause and you just like don't want to do anything with yourself. You just at some little set state that it's like a little circus going on in your head. So for me growing up, it was hard in the classroom, in high school, middle school. Like I didn't want to go to school. I didn't go to school much. I was probably at home. But once I got like help and started to talk to people, like I started to get back out there more and like communicate with family, because I feel like they were trying to figure out what was wrong, like why was I having these problems, and they feel like it was like family stuff. What came from family is genetics, like in my genetics of why I was feeling like that. So it just led me to figure out like the types and different causes of depression. So according to the mental health, major depressive disorder is a mental health condition characterized by an inescapable, ongoing, low mood, often occupied by low self-esteem and loss of interest and pleasure in the things and activities that we once found enjoyable. According to the World Health Organization, WHO, 350 million people in the United States suffer from depression. It is the leading cause of disability here in the U.S. It's more prevalent in women than in men. The different types is persistent depressive disorder, postpartum depressive disorder, premenstrual dysphoric disorder, and seasonal affective disorder. The effects that depression have on us is economically and more of, it causes death as well. Economic issues is about 80 billion people is estimated annual cause of depression in the U.S. due to lost productivity in healthcare. 80 million people in number of ambulance care visits from 2010 CDC report where a major depressive disorder was the primary diagnosis. In 2014, an estimated of 15.7 million adults aged 18 or older in the United States had at least one major depressive disorder episode in the past year. This number represents about 6.7% of the U.S. here today. Depression causes death. It leads to suicide. According to Depression and Bipolar Support Alliance, depression causes about 2/3 of 30,000 reported suicides in America or in the U.S. each year. For every 2 homicides, there are 3 suicides attempts in the States. And 2/3 of adult suicides are attributed to untreated or misdiagnosed depression. The depression rate is 11.3 to 100,000 per population, remains higher than the rate of any other health conditions such as liver disease, Alzheimer's, and homicide. There are many misconceptions about depression. Many people in the U.S. overlook depression but fail to realize how horrific the impact has on the world today. It's now time to move on and discuss what are the causes of depression. The causes of depression can play a huge role in our lives, and some they have like many of the side effects, or some just one of the illnesses, such as biological, like too many brain chemicals, neurotransmitters, cognitive, negative thinking, low self-esteem, stress, gender, like I mentioned earlier, women are more just experience depression than men due to hormone changes, menopause, pregnancy, and menstruation, co-occurrence due to other illnesses such as heart disease, cancer, diabetes, and other mental illnesses, medication, side effects, genetics, which I mentioned earlier about myself, genes, and situations due to trauma or little life events, and the overlooked symptoms that people fail to like pay attention to. They just think that someone just has like attitude is like people lack concentration, loss of energy throughout the day, the changes in their movements, like some days you wake up full of energy, then low of energy, they physical aches and pains out of nowhere, you just, your back hurt, you just like, why? You may never know, it may lead to depression, like we may not know unless you go get checked out. Restlessness, irritability, you be very aggressive behavior, digestive disorders, like you find yourself having digestive problems, it can lead to from depression, guilt, very anxious, impulsive, poor judgment, or like exaggerated like feelings of excitement or overconfidence. So on the other hand, depression can happen to anyone at any age or to any race. Depression is not okay and has become a normal part of our people life in the U.S. and they should seek treatment. According to Lizzie Holmes, the Deputy Healthily Limited Editor of the Huffington Post, 50% of Americans in the U.S. don't seek treatment. Did you know untreated depression leads to suicide? As a result, I'm going to now discuss treatment solutions for depression. Treatment for depression depends on the severity of depressive symptoms. According to the National Alliance on Mental Illnesses, depression cannot be cured, but with these symptoms and methods, it can be treated effectively. The National Institute of Health says up to 80% of Americans treated showed improvement in their symptoms, generally within 4 to 6 weeks of being like dealing with medication, psychotherapy, attending support groups, talking to family and friends, or a combination of all these treatments put together. Some it may not help, but some do medication in the treatment in order for it to work. Now that you know what depression is, it's in the different types in depression, the cause of depression, the overlooked symptoms of depression, and how to treat and prevent depression. Let's review and wrap it up. In conclusion, I have addressed the problem we face as Americans known as depression. Now I will restate the main points such as its background, its effects, the different types of depression, and finally the treatment to prevent depression. Depression is a mood disorder that affects many Americans in the U.S. There are many different types of depressions Americans face, which is caused by a series of mood disorders or life changes, family crisis, work, or just a huge major life change that you weren't prepared for. Depression has so many misconceptions about its symptoms. However, depression is more than feeling a sad or hopelessness. Those with depression should get treated. If you think you have depression, talk to a friend or a family member and seek help. Depression is on the rise and is very dangerous here in America. However, this is a serious matter, but do you ever stop to think that you'll be depressed too, living in the U.S. today? I know what to do.